I'm glad you're not my kid.
Well, Peter Handley, welcome to the Small Town Times podcast. Honored to have you on my show.
Thank you, David. Pleasure to be here, sir.
Right on. How old are you, Peter? Right off the bat.
85.
Wow. And you work harder than most people I know.
I've got a work ethic.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you'd call it. I got it from a dad. If you got a purpose and you work to achieve something, that keeps you young, I guess.
How did you meet your wife, Pam?
She was working at the Nugget, and I was working at the radio station, and we met at a I don't know, some sort of an outdoor party or something like that.
Right on. What was she doing at the Nugget?
She was working. She had to take corrections to the back shop.
Oh, okay.
She's working for the editor, I believe. Oh, she'll kill me because I don't remember exactly what she did. She worked with Dave Palangio and all those people, and Shorty Domenico and all the Domenicos that ran the back shop at the Nugget when the Nugget had a back shop.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there for quite a few years.
Peter Handley, the soiree partier.
Not me. I was all work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You regret anything? About work?
That's a good question. Not really. No. That's difficult to say. I mean, work here, no. You regret, okay, you had opportunities to go to back to Kingston, to go to Toronto, to go to Sudbury. I had an open-ended invitation to work in Sudbury, or to go to the Sioux, or go to the States, or whatever. And I turned every one of them down. Because, well, they had kids, and they were in school.
Mm-hmm.
A good place to raise kids, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're right about a short block away from Tweedsmuir, where this used to be a school.
Mm-hmm. So they were West Ferris Trojans.
Yep, ultimately they were. Yeah. And you say, well, gosh, what would have happened? What would have happened? Oh, I don't know. I mean, but I'm perfectly satisfied, perfectly happy with what happened here.
I stayed in North Bay to raise my boy. I didn't want to. I could have went other places.
Yeah.
No, this is a good town to raise a family.
Yeah.
I thought good as any I've seen.
And being here for so long, you have other opportunities. I mean, opportunities to teach at Canada, for an example.
Yeah.
Because Sid Tompkins used to work at the television station, and then went to Canada and knew I did interviews, and said, we're going to broaden the broadcast thing. We want you to do an interview course, teaching interviewing techniques and all that stuff, which I didn't want to do because I really had a problem standing up in front of people. A microphone didn't bother me. It could be 100,000 or 33 listening to you. It didn't bother me because there were vast nebulous way out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But standing up on a stage in front of people, I had a real problem with it. But when I accepted the teaching job, you to stand up on stage in front of smart-ass kids like you,
Yeah.
who think they know everything, and you have to defend yourself, and you have to know what you're talking about, and you have to impress on the kids that you do know what you're talking about. So that, in itself, enabled me in later years to run for council, because I never would have run for council without that experience of standing up in front of people. So it all sort of fits in some sort of a randomized pattern of some sort, I suppose, if you look at it.
Well, each new skill that you learn leads to other opportunities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We were vicious, us students. You better be on
No,
your
they
game.
weren't vicious. No, I found most of them were really. Some of them are still in the business today.
Yeah.
Greg Estabrooks, for
Mhm.
example. He's one of my, Linda Holmes.
Did you teach Greg how to research for interviews?
Greg was a different kettle of fish.
Yeah, but
Still-
he's
still is.
persistent. He's still there, and
Yeah.
he's got a good
He's
following.
got a, he's got a
done
good
well.
humor. He's got a good sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
Doesn't take anything too seriously, which is a plus.
Well,
And
to
it
last
can-
in this
can be
business,
a
you
plus.
better have a sense of humor.
Yeah, David, it's been a pleasure. Thank you
Again,
again.
thank you.
Now, yeah, really quick, we've got another 2 extra questions that they just want to ask really quick.
Okay.
I was just laughing because you were saying the footage, it accidentally didn't record or something. And then it ended up-
We had a little audio mixed up on like where you learned your work ethic from and what did your father do for a living. So if you wanted to add that into the show, I would just ask those 2 questions again, just
Cool.
where you learned his work ethic from, and then
Right at the beginning, then.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it was only like a minute in, then it sputtered, and then I caught it, and then it went the whole way good. So
Okay.
it was just
okay.
like 10 seconds, about a minute in. That's all we lost.
Okay.
So
We can do that.
sounds good.
So we're still recording on the other ones. We're
Yeah.
good. You're one of the hardest working guys I know. How'd that come about?
Chew your cabbage twice, Charlie.
I know. A good example of it. Eh?
Yeah. I've always worked hard, and I got that from my dad. My dad was a workaholic. He worked hard. He worked. He would be working until 1 o'clock in the morning doing books for Crowley McCracken and for Alcan. He worked for Crowley McCracken for many years. They serviced mining camps all throughout the north for food and services. And Dad did the accounting and all that sort of stuff for Crowley McCracken for many years. Then he worked for Alcan Canada in Kingston and did the books and ran the cafeteria and a canteen rather. And he was always working. That was Dad's life, was work. In his younger days, he was an excellent hockey player. He played hockey throughout the north. And if any old timers are around, they call the Green Brothers. He played with and against the Green Brothers. And he played in senior A hockey in Hamilton with the Hamilton Ticats until he injured a knee. So he was good. He was small, but he was an excellent hockey player. I couldn't play hockey for a dime. You know, we used to go out in the ponds in Kingston, and I had weak ankles and all that sort of stuff. But Dad was a good hockey player, and that's where I got my work ethic. Got my love of work from my dad and my love of music and the arts and reading from my mother.
Oh, what a great combination.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. My dad was a bean counter as well, and he worked at mines throughout the north.
Really?
And he was young when your dad was probably selling to him. He was a clerk and whatnot.
Okay.
Worked for Dravo Canada, and they had different projects all over the place. But it's interesting.
Dad would have been in that area. God. Around very early in the last century.
Hmm.
And because he went to war. He went to the First World War. But he got over to England, and the war ended.
Good timing.
Good timing is right. So he was in the teens and the 20s and the 30s.
Oh, okay.
So
I
that
think
might
my
be a
dad
little
came
bit
after
before
that.
your dad's time.
You ever
I
old,
think.
Peter?
Sometimes I
You're
feel
actually
it.
my dad's age.
Really?
You're my dad's age. That's why I look at you like a father figure.
Okay, I'm glad you're not my kid.
You probably are.
Yes.
Very
yes.
fortunate thing.
Yeah.
It would have been a different kid to raise.
Yes, sir. I think so.
You have two, Peter, and what's your daughter's name?
Mari.
Yeah. What does she do?
Mari's retired, but she was. Talk about knowing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It took a while for Mari to figure out what she wanted to do. She hated school. She wanted to leave school. She did. She got a job at McDonald's, and she worked at McDonald's for years and did well, because she's highly organized. And she worked at a convenience store. And then she decided she'd make her mind what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a paralegal.
Hmm.
So she went to Canadore. She topped her class. She had a job while she was still going to school. She got a job afterwards. She married Leo Phillips from the military. And everywhere they went, whether it was Comox or the States or whatever, Mari got a job in her selected field. So she did extremely well. She took her time to make up her mind as to what she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Peter John, the son, knew exactly what he wanted to do from when he was a kid. He wanted to be a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
So he did that. He worked locally for a couple of companies when he was still a kid, for a couple of papers and so on and so forth. And
I met him at the North Bay Independent.
independent, right?
1989.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He knew what he wanted to do. So then he went to Ottawa and got jobs with Cognos and a couple of other companies, and then decided he wanted to do it himself because he didn't like bosses hanging over his shoulder. And he's been doing that, his own company. P something or other.
It's okay.
Oh.
I'll get it.
God. And he's made it successfully. He works for various companies down east and in different places, and he's to put some books out and so on.
So you're a proud dad and grandpa.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I think we're done now. Thanks, guys.
I have the curse of the blabbing lip.
Hey, that's all right. I wasn't going to stop you.